Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing Mr. Mercedes, written by Stephen King. It's the first book in the Bill Hodges trilogy. Now I love this book, I loved everything about it. King should write more books like this. It's so different from many other King books out there. You don't expect King to write books like this. It's a great mystery, it's a great thriller. It's almost like a detective book more than anything else. There's no supernatural element in the story, no paranormal element, no aliens coming down affecting things. It's just all about real people in a real story that does feel real. Even though there are some extreme parts in this story, it all feels like it could happen in real life. And the three characters. First you've got Bill Hodges, an amazing character. You've got Holly, who appears about halfway through or so in this book. Another great character, one of my favourite King characters of all time. And then the villain, Brady. Brady is known as the villain early on in the story. I'm not giving anything away by telling you he's the villain. But he's another great character. So three amazing characters in this story. Three characters that stand out so much, they feel so real. King has done a wonderful job in creating the story and these three characters. They feel just amazing in this story. So what you won't get in this story is monsters, creatures, supernatural occurrences, paranormal powers, alien invasions. You won't get any of that. You won't get things that are, mysterious, things that aren't of this world. What you will get is a villain that is so creepy and so gripping because he's just told and described in an amazing way. You'll get a hero who wears his flaws like a badge of honor. His flaws make up who he is, and he's quite proud of his flaws, and he learns from them, and he feels so real because of that. You get a plot that is just so well constructed. It feels like King for once may have just plotted this out instead of writing it as he went. Because we do know that King just sits down and writes a story. We feel that sometimes from his books, but this book feels well structured and well planned out. This book plays out like a typical detective story, almost like a PI story, because the main character, Bill Hodges, is not on the force anymore. He's retired. So he's not even a PI in the story either. He's like a citizen trying to investigate something. So in a way, you might even say it's like a cozy mystery, but a very dark, a very gripping, a very, very earthy cozy mystery, where the protagonist is an ex-police officer, ex-detective, that does have connections to the force. So in a way, you can call it a cozy mystery, you might call it a PI story. It's just well structured to me. So whatever you want to call it, it's a very well structured story. It feels real. It feels like the whole action plays out very controlled. The characters are written so well. It just feels like everything in this story is so well put together that all the stars aligned to write this book. So to give a very brief overview of the story, so many people out there have read this already or have watched a TV show, so they understand the plot. So we have Hodges, who's a retired detective from the police force. And he's got one case on his mind still that was never solved. And it was a person who ran down people in a line somewhere with a car and then took off. So a multiple hit and run, and many people died. So Hodges could never catch the person. He knows he's out there somewhere. Then we have the villain, Brady. And you learn about Brady very early on. So it's not a spoiler. Brady is itching to do something else. He wants to go out with a big bang, it seems. He wants to do something, it's going to make him remembered for all eternity. And he's also quite psychotic. He's not very stable at all. It's almost like Brady wants Hodges to come out and find him or be a witness to his next act. You get that sense. It's almost like Brady thinks Hodges is the other side of the coin. And that he needs Hodges to know, to witness, to be aware of what he's going to do, to make it feel more complete. It's almost like they're Batman and Joker in a way. It's kind of got that feel to it, that they're both sides of a coin, that if one went away, the other wouldn't exist. You get that sense in this story. One of the best things about this book is the psychological cat and mouse game that Hodges and Brady play. It plays out for so long in this story, but it's very well constructed and it feels very real. One of the best things about it is their reactions to each other. They're not seeing each other. Hodges is trying to find Brady. Brady knows much more about Hodges than the other way around. And you feel like a bit unbalanced in that way in this story, but it makes it feel more gripping because this big baddie, Brady, feels like he could do anything anytime. He feels like he's in control rather than Hodges. But when they start interacting, and they interact on the internet over this site just by chat, they're kind of taunting each other in the story. When that happens, you start to see the balance skew more into Hodges' favour, because Hodges is just taking his time. He's taking his time to draw it out, taking his time not to validate Brady in any way, and that makes Brady a bit more unstable. And he's so unstable in his actions, you just think he could do anything any time. That makes him seem more threatening, makes him more chilling in the story, makes him more gripping overall in this book. You get a feeling nobody's safe from Brady. So Hodges has connections, and they're friendship connections, not connections from his job, they're connections in his new life, his retired life. He's got this high school kid that comes and mows his lawn and does things for him. He befriends that kid and they're friends. He meets somebody and they have a relationship. So there's connections all over the place. And then there's connections of those connections that are in danger as well, because Brady watches people. He lurks and he watches and he plans. And he feels so evil in that way because in some respects he doesn't rush. He takes his time. And he just seems to be able to move around and not be seen. You get a sense in this story, he's like this spider just lurking, like a trapdoor spider waiting to strike. And you just get a sense that he's truly evil. Not supernatural evil, but truly evil in a sense that he's as evil as a human can get. And another great thing about this book is that tension, that danger, that edge of the seat feeling you get from the book ramps up the closer Hodges gets to Brady. That atmosphere that King creates early on in the book doesn't stop, it gets stronger. There are a lot of writers out there of thrillers and mysteries who could learn from that, because so many people just let the atmosphere, the tension drop, and the pace of the book drops. The feeling you get, that edge of the seat feeling, drops from the book. This book doesn't drop that. It continues on and it gets stronger and stronger, and it stayed with me all the way through this story. It's just so well told. It's not a slow book, but it's not a super fast book either. It's that tension, that cat and mouse tension between them both that just stays there the whole time. Because even when you have scenes where Brady and Hodges are interacting, you got other characters in the scenes as well, other things happening in their lives. The thoughts about Brady or Hodges are there the whole time. Those characters are thinking about the other side of the coin, if you will. And it's there the whole time. I love that about this story, how King just injects that in scenes. People are walking somewhere and he injects the thoughts. Watch out where you're going. Get out of a car and you look, be mindful. And that's reminding characters of that all the way through this book. And I like that in this book because it just keeps that atmosphere and tension and suspense all through the story. But if that's not enough, we have Holly. Holly is a character that we meet halfway through this story. On the first moment we meet Holly, it's not obvious she's going to be a regular or main character. She just feels like a character that's going to be there for a few scenes and go away. I think King had that in mind when he wrote this book. Holly was just going to be somebody who appeared in a few scenes and then went. Maybe had a few scenes of dialogue even in the story and then went and vanished and then never thought of again. Then King changed his mind, and I'm so glad he did, because this character is amazing. And the best thing about Holly is her growth. Her growth in this book is just so well done. It feels so natural. It's not forced at all. She feels so real as a character. She's so unique as a character as well, and so well balanced. And I say this about Holly every time I mention her in a video about a book she's in. Her character is so balanced. This type of character, it'd be easy to go a bit strong on one aspect of her personality or a character, and then other parts of her would just vanish or be pushed down too far into the shadows. But King balances her so well, and it makes her feel so real. Again, a character has flaws and is aware of her flaws, not just of her own flaws, but of other people's flaws as well. I like just the way other characters change when she comes into the story as well. So as she grows, other characters grow around her. And I like that. I like how she interacts with characters. I like how that camaraderie gets built up between characters in this story, between Bill and between Holly especially. I just like Holly in this book so much. And for me, this is where Holly just is a standout. She starts off very meekly, but she just grows to this character that's just amazing. First off, Bill Hodges, an amazing character. Another character who's one of my favourite characters King's ever written. He feels so real. Everything about him feels real. He just feels like a retired detective. I mean, you can't picture him being anything else. The way he acts, the way he's described, the way he thinks, all screams retired detective. The best thing about this character, though, is not those moments. It's how he views the world and views other people. I like especially how he views Holly, how he reaches out to Holly and makes friends with her very quickly, how he can look at people and just understand them so easily. And that kind of goes back to him being a detective maybe as well in his past, in his character, but it makes him so special as a character as well. Bill Hodges, amazing character. I couldn't picture a better character for this book. So I've got to mention Holly. Every time Holly is in a book I read, I mention Holly as a character in a video. She's an amazing character, but in this book especially, she stands out so much because of that growth of hers. From being a very meek character, it's almost forgotten. King could have stopped it and just tossed her aside and not mention her again. He chose not to, and thankfully he chose not to because she's an amazing character. Her growth is so natural in this book. Her growth is so organic. Her growth is just amazing. And her interactions, the way she sees the world is just amazing. And I just like in this book, again, how she changes people. She's not just changing herself, she's changing other people around her. And for that to happen, it just feels very organic. It feels very special. It just feels like Holly was meant to be in this book. Brady is one of the best villains King's ever written because he feels so real. There are people out there who could be just like Brady. You know, it feels so lifelike. No supernatural element, no paranormal element, no alien element, just a person doing awful things, doing evil things. That's why it's so gripping. That's why Brady stands out so much and he's so chilling. But on the other side of his life, we get to see his personal life. We get to see his own struggles. We get to see his family life, his home life. We get to see maybe what made him who he is. And that makes us feel a bit of empathy for him as well. So it's very strange to have empathy for a character that's so evil. But you can't help it because you get to see just things about his life that he's struggling with. And this makes him feel more complete. Because when you think about it, evil people have their own problems as well, don't they? You know, everybody has problems. Everybody's got a past. Everybody has things in their life that are awful to them. And that's what we're getting shown in this story. So while Brady is evil and despicable, he's a real person with real problems. And in that way, it makes him feel more chilling because he just is a real person. He's just average. You can walk around the street and he's an average person. There's nothing he wears, nothing on his face, there's nothing screaming, evil person, run. He's a normal person with real problems that does evil things and has a psychotic mind. I loved everything about this story. I loved the plot. I loved the setting. I loved the characters, especially the three main characters, Hodges, Holly, and Brady. Three of the best characters King's ever written. I love the fact that King's able to give us such a gripping book that's not horror, supernatural, paranormal in nature. I love that fact because it's something King doesn't do very often. I wish he did it more often and more often like this, because this book just shows that King can write different styles of books and do it so well. I recommend this book so much if you've not read it. It's so different to the TV show, even though there's crossover things between TV show and the book. The book is better in my opinion and so much more different. I think the book's more thrilling. And that's hard to do because on a screen when you're watching it, it's very easy to create atmosphere when you've got music and lighting and facial expressions and movement and things like that. In a book it's hard to do, but the atmosphere, the tension, suspense stays in the book and it grows. Doesn't go away, doesn't deplete, it just gets stronger and stronger to the very end of the story. On my channel, I review many thrillers. If you enjoy thrillers, check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link to a video for another book I'm sure you'll enjoy.